Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Awaken Your Inner Awesomeness. I am your host, Melissa Oatman from melissaoatman.com. If you are new, I want to welcome you. If you are returning, welcome back. We have a great show today. We have with us a very special guest. We have Dr. T, who is a healer and a human engineer. I have no idea what that actually means. I know what a healer is, but I don't know what a human engineer is. So I can't wait to dive into this conversation and find out what that entails. So I want to thank you so much for being here with us today, Dr. T.
Thank you, Melissa. Thank you so much.
So I always like to ask our guests just to tell us a little bit about themselves and a little bit about your journey and how it brought you to doing what you do today. And I'm really interested in learning what that is exactly that you do to help people.
Well, I'm from a small town in Illinois. I think I saw you're from Illinois, also in a
Yes.
rather small town somewhere. So we have that in common. I grew up in an area that was surrounded by farms, and my father was a chiropractor. So I got to see the farmers come in, and I got to work on the farms all summer long, and find different ways to get out of town and out into nature. And so I'm just as curious as a cat, and I've always have been. So growing up in a small town like that, you have a lot of freedom to get out and experience nature and experience working hard and all the things that go along with that. And growing up in a place that you really can discover things in the universe. So with me, I really have done just about everything. I've done every job imaginable under the sun. And it wasn't until later on in life that I decided to go into chiropractic is the journey that I ended up going. But getting there was quite the ride. And so I was injured a few times on the farm really bad, and I've been in a couple of motorcycle accidents. And I had an extreme amount of pain in my early 20s, 25, 26 years old. I could barely stand or walk or move. And that went on for a number of years. I was still working. I was still living a life like everybody else, but I was in extreme levels of low back pain, loss of ability to even stand, and that would go on for a week at a time sometimes. So I kind of had to work a lot of different jobs because I would get fired a lot. so Cahill's in here again. So long story short, I was in Santa Cruz, California, and the girlfriend that I had at the time and I were going camping, and we stopped at a health fair on our way out of town. And I kind of looked at all the other practitioners there, and I had seen, I use the word hundreds, but many people to try and find my way out of this mess I was in. And I looked at all of them who were at the health fair, and there was only one guy behind the curtain. And I was like, Wizard of Oz back there. I wonder what he's up to. And sure enough, I got back behind the curtain, and he was doing muscle testing, looking for nutritional causes of dysfunction in the body. And he just looked at me. He's like, "This has nothing to do with nutrition. What's going on with you?" And I just laid it out. I was like, "Well, I got hurt about 8 years ago, and haven't been able to get out of this pain. It's just debilitating. It takes up all your energy, and it's just I just don't know what to say." He did a couple of small tests on me, laid me on my side, and did something no one else had ever done before. And I got up off the table, and the lights went on, the sound came out. It was quite an experience of release. And I floated around that auditorium, and it was an out of body experience being released out of that level of pain. And I got back to him, and I was like, "What in the heck was that?" And he told me what the technique was at the time. And he said, "This is going to last a few days, but we have more work to do." But basically, my psoas muscle was welded, completely locked down to my autonomic chain, and all the lower lumbar nerves. So I was literally losing control of bodily function, and that was all restored in 30 seconds.
Wow.
And so I started seeing him for a couple of months. And after about 4 months, I was 100% pain-free, restoring my entire life, biking, hiking, doing things I just have to trudge through. And, I went through a couple more jobs. That's when he said, "I've known you for 4 months. You've had 10 different jobs. You just get bored at everything you do. You're just curious." And I said, "Yeah." He says, "Well, the only thing you won't figure out is the human body." And I said, "Okay." He says, "Yeah, you'll never figure out the human body. And he said, you could do a massage course and learn this muscle work that I'm doing. All you need is a massage certificate, a license for massage. And so that's where I started. And that really is the start of my healing journey was from that chiropractor who inspired me to learn more.
Wow, that's really interesting. So, what all do you do? I know that you do have the massage certification, but that's not the main thing that you focus on. Is that right?
That's correct. So I started with massage. I did that for a couple of years, and finally, after a couple of years, I decided to go to school. So I took my first college course at 35. They called me Grandpa. Imagine being called Grandpa at 35. Like a kid at 35. But I started schooling at 35. I graduated at 42. And so in all of that, I'm curious. Like I said, I'm always curious. I've just done so many different things in life. I like taking things apart. I still do. I still, fixed my toaster last week, and I still like to get my hands dirty and figure things out. And of course, YouTube doesn't help that. They show you everything these days. But I started studying. I was planning on being a regular chiropractor, and right off the road got turned on me, and I started discovering some of these other avenues of healing that I was completely unaware of. And it was at one in particular, very, very early on. There was this old guy, and actually I can't remember his name now or the technique, but he was sitting, he talked for 3 or 4 hours, and then he was like, okay, we're going to take a break. And I walked up to him and I was like, hey, so I got a couple of questions for you. He said, would you hold on 1 second? And his eyes kind of drifted off into somewhere. And he reached down and touched right above his thumb and ran his hand all the way up to his shoulder. And he stopped and he kind of waited for a second. And then he was like, okay, what was your question? And I said, what the hell was that? And he said, oh, that was Rebecca in Kentucky. She was having a heart murmur. So I just fixed that for her. Now, what other questions you have? I said, oh, nothing. I was like a scared little boy at 35. I ran out of there so fast. I was, oh, okay, this guy's crazy. What the heck am I studying with him for? And so that really started it. And I just started finding more and more people doing these more esoteric healing forms of healing. And that was where I kind of took a turn in what I was learning and just started going down the more energetic techniques. And I think once you start getting into a lot of those things, it just opens you up to what else is there. If I can, if they're fixing people on the other side of the planet or other side of the country, wherever they are, what really is this all about? And then I started getting more studies into consciousness and applied quantum mechanics, the active observation and Heisenberg's principles, and all these things kind of just coalesced into this stew that it just took a little while to be really proficient, be able to help people really well. Remotely started happening 20 years ago now, and about 10 or 12 years ago, the angels showed up. And they actually showed up long before. It's kind of a long story. I probably better skip the whole story, but when they did show up, it was a client came into my office, and she said, hey, take a look at this chapter in this book. And it was all about angels. And I had angels around many years. I always believed in them. Although I grew up, very strict Catholic, I always loved the angel talk. I always was into the angels and look at them in church. And I would pray to the angels to carry me out of that poor little town and get me somewhere. And they didn't drop me in the right place at first. It took a while to find where I'm at now. But anyhow, with the angels, she said, so check out this chapter. And it just kind of went through, different definitions of different types of them and different things about them. And she says, well, I want you to just do that to me. Just use some of these and do that to me. I said, well, I'll do that. Just not like the book says. So we did do it. And a whole bunch of stuff disappeared. And I was shocked. I couldn't believe it. I just couldn't believe that 8 months of, burning, perineum burning in this woman that we've been trying and trying and trying. She'd seen everybody for it. It was gone, absolutely gone in 5 or 6 seconds. And so that's where it all started, was that client. And so from then on, every single person would come in, I'd do a couple of minutes of that intentional based, that style of work. And by the time I got done, they were usually better. So all the other stuff I was planning on doing, I was like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do with all this time? I got 25 more minutes to go. And because it was so fast and so instantaneous, it literally took me 6 months before I would even believe that it was happening.
Yeah, I was getting chills as you were talking about that and the healing work, and I definitely believe in that. I do distance Reiki, so I understand how the energy can travel. But tell us a little bit more about your work and how you're working with people.
Well, how I work now with people is 90% of it is remote. What we are doing is we do these programs that we're just getting ready to start here in a few more weeks. The programs are really groovy. I've done a lot of group stuff in the past, but we just weren't set up the way we are now with organization. So we couldn't keep track of these people. They're all over the world. And so this time we just have a lot better. I have a lot better team behind me that takes care of the organization. I'm very dysfunctional. I'm surprised I got on here in the first try tonight. When it comes to computers and social media, I'm just kind of outside of me. I'm more of a farmer than anything, even though I don't have a farm. That's how I just feel. So we're doing these programs. One of them has got your back. And it's any part of your back. It's the back of your head. It's the back of your neck. It's any back part of your body. I just have this ability to call in these omnipotent beings, and they just make change that is just absolutely mind blowing. And it's permanent. A lot of this stuff is permanent. So these programs are basically, you sign up for a program. It's a 1 hour a week for 4 weeks. To make sure we get everything that's going on with your back. So, in a group setting, you can, well, as you know, I looked at your website for a few minutes, and it's like, it's all energy, it's all frequency. If we hit the right frequency, everything disappears. And so we can take, and we are all one. We're all from the same consciousness. So, you think of a friend you haven't seen in 25, 30 years, and they call. And so, as that's the system we're using. And if they don't call, you see somebody, hey, remember Jane from 25 years ago? Yeah, I just saw her. She told me to say hello to you. That's what we're doing. So with these groups of these omnipotent beings, they come in, match these frequencies, and basically do what I find is going on within the group. It's really cool. We're doing a crazy unknown shift. We're going to be doing I like the names. I like the name stuff, funny names, So we're going to be doing, we're going to be doing everything, whether it's migraines, infertility. I mean, you name it. We're going to be doing a ton of these groups. I think we have 8 already named and planned, but we're starting with Crazy Unknown Shift and Got Your Back. I mean, the Crazy Unknown Shift. Think about all the stuff you work with all the time. Well, when I get up in the morning, I can't walk for 5 minutes, or every now and then my ankle will just go out, or this eye twitches all the time. All these weird things that are out there, that are going on out there. If I I mean, it's just endless. If I sneeze, I pee my pants. If all these odd things. My mouth is dry all the time. What the heck is why can't you go see a doctor? You'll see the best doctors out there, and they're just like, well, they'll just either push you on. Or they'll say you should see a psychiatrist or a psychologist. I mean, there's just not a lot of answers for so much of the crazy, weird stuff. I got a single finger that it just kills me. I can't pick up a cup of coffee, but it's only in one finger. There's some of these weird things, and we can. I feel like I'm so confident that these programs are going to work, and I love the idea of seeing numerous people at once. That we offer a money back guarantee if it doesn't work. So you do the session with me and you're like, yeah, I didn't like it. I don't want, I'm not going to do any more. We give you your money back. And that's pretty rare in this field. That's pretty rare. I don't know if I've ever seen that before. But I'm that confident that if I have an hour I could have 1,000 people, it's the same frequency for everyone. And once some of these things are brought into resonance with harmonization with the external universe, things just disappear. and then we can get more precise. And that's the engineering part. I love the engineering part because I started with massage. I actually started with hypnosis, then I studied massage, then I've studied all the advanced massage techniques, became a chiropractor. I've studied all of this stuff, and I'm just really good at bringing all this stuff together and putting together something that I can now teach. And I used to always, when I was younger, I'd be like, gosh, how the heck do they figure these things out? How do they figure these things out? And I asked, there's a Dr. Loomis out there. He's an enzyme specialist in Wisconsin. I caught him one day at having breakfast, and I was like, hey, so how the hell did you figure out that pain, that spot over there was referral from the spleen? And he says, well, son, you can't be right all the time. The more times you're wrong, the more you learn. And I said, well, son of a bitch, I should be a genius. And this was his laugh. All I got out of him was one. Here I am thinking my best joke, my best joke of the day, and all I got was a He's a really great guy, really great doctor. I learned a lot from him as well. So these programs are we're starting in a couple of weeks, and then the trainings we've just finished they're 3-day trainings, and a long story short is we are seeing unbelievable miracles the very first day. Certainly by the end of the weekend, we have stuff that's disappearing instantaneously that's absolutely mind-blowing. And it's not me doing it, it's the people in the class. This last class, we had things, we had tinnitus. I think we had 4 cases of tinnitus. Is very difficult to treat. 4 of 5, 100% gone. We had a knife in the brain that disappeared. We had, we had 30 years of back pain completely gone. We had, I think there was, one woman had lifelong depression. Didn't know a single day. It didn't seem dark and cloudy. Lifelong depression. She was, I think she's early 40s, completely gone. Those are miracles. You're in the healing field, and hearing this is like, we all have experienced these, but when it's happening and it's the students doing it, it's really amazing. So one of the things that I promote to teach this class is seeing is believing. And the first day before noon, the people in the class are seeing things where they're all just like, really? That's gone? That's impossible. Complete. Are you sure it's gone? I'm like, okay, jump up and down. Let's make sure it's 100% gone, because they can't believe it.
Yeah.
But once you start seeing it, you start opening up, and it's really been fascinating to watch people go from. Then some of these are these are dancers, these are psychologists. A lot of them are non-professionals who are having these experiences and from this training. So that's the most rewarding thing I'm doing right now. I'm so happy to be doing these programs, but seeing people be able to do this work in the first day is just absolutely, that in itself is a miracle.
Yeah, and I can only imagine that it probably is hard for them to believe that they're doing that kind of work. Because I remember when I first started doing Reiki, I would think like, oh, this isn't working. Like nothing's happening. I don't see anything, or, I don't really see anything happening. And then after the session, the person would say, oh my gosh, that was amazing. Pain's gone, or I feel so much better. So I remember what that felt like to not really believe that what you were doing actually worked or made a difference until hearing other people confirm it, like, yes, this is working, this is happening.
Absolutely. And you can feel it in them the first few times. It's like, the first class we had a woman get up and she had, her arm was falling out of her socket. Like literally, she'd raise her arm, boom, and it would pop down. And she'd bring it across her body. Every single motion. She had that for, I don't even remember now, like 10 or 12 years. And she'd been to everybody, and even the surgeons were like, well, we don't know. We can tighten it up, but you're going to lose your complete function of it. Because she could use it as long as she didn't reach out for anything. And I could just feel everybody. And I was like, okay, we're going to take a look at that. And I could just feel everybody going, there's just no way. That's impossible to fix. Look at this thing. It was almost grotesque. that bad. And I didn't fix it. I had a student sit next to me fix it. Now I did guide them, but I had them fix it. And you could just feel oh, there's no way this is going to happen. I had stopped the student and said, okay, everybody, you're going to have to get rid of that. That's how do you fix something with that much negativity in the room? I mean, you can't have that level of doubt. And after you do this a while, if you come in thinking, oh gosh, they have this, we can't fix that. You won't be able to. And so those are the small things that I teach. I teach really what really my class is a class on applied quantum mechanics. And that's, if you Google that term, you'll see they talk about all the engineering things. Well, that's my term about, how the universe works. And when you have a really clear understanding about that, the angels are ready to come in and help you. I do a few other things to help that happen really quickly. Usually by noon the first day, unless we're running late for some reason. But I think that's the crux of the learning, is learning how things really actually work. And the feedback from the students so far has just been phenomenal. I mean, it's really they're not only changing people's lives, but their life themselves have been dramatically altered. You just wake up looking different at the world. I mean, as you know, I know you're very aware. There's angels around you all the time. They're helping you, guiding you. Probably saved your life a few times. But it's still hard to wrap your mind around until you see it. So seeing is believing. It really makes a big difference in doing this kind of work.
Is that one of the things that you help your students do when they come together in these classes, is to help them connect to angels and to see them?
Absolutely. And everybody's different. I don't see them. I just feel them. I really just try to teach everybody to, get a sense of them, be aware that they might start feeling something and may see some people have already reported seeing this very clearly. I just don't. I feel a different kinesthetic sense in my hands as I'm activating them. And so there's a number of real, they seem real basic things that we do, but you don't know about them. So far I'm the only one who's made the observation. Oh, check it out. You do this and this, and you may be a little more powerful. And those are the things that I'm really, I just feel honored to have seen. Some of these little observations that you notice. It's like I was starting to mention earlier. It's like, how the heck did that doctor figure that out? Well, every now and then you get these little moments of like, there might be something there. And as I've had those over 20 years, I'd write them down really fast. And so I had this huge collection of these observations. And it's amazing. Once we decided to get the class put together, I had a couple more come in, and that's angels. That's angels. You run out of gas and somebody stops and helps you. Yeah, that's an angel working through that person. And we all have, I certainly have had angels around in motorcycle accidents and different things on the farm in my lifetime, a few times where it may look like a person, but those are angels keeping an eye out for us and helping define our future, helping us figure out what are we doing here, where are we going, the journey of life, and so that part of having the angels around is really exciting, because you tend to wake up just in a state of gratitude, ready for the day, and ready to appreciate everything that's coming.
Yeah, I love that. I love that you include that in your classes. And I just had a question. I know that you were able to be healed of your chronic pain. Have you seen other people who've experienced chronic pain that you've also been able to help then release from the chronic pain?
Tons, lots, so many I couldn't count them all. Thousands. Yeah, that is the program Got Your Back. I mean, there's so many people in chronic pain, and God bless everybody out there working on everyone. I mean, everybody is doing their best. If you're in this, it's a tough field we're in. It's a tough field. And like with me, everybody did the best they could. I mean, I saw my father for a long time, saw my brother, I saw every single person who was in California. I was living in Santa Cruz at the time all this was going on. So the town is full of healers. And so with this Got Your Back, that's one of the, that's who I want to see. That's who I like seeing. I like seeing the people who have been everywhere, tried everything, and and the reason I say that is because they are usually the most open. They're so sick and tired of being sick and tired that they're open to it. And that's all the angels ask, is to just be open. If you come in and you're like, nah, ain't gonna work, it's probably not going to.
Yeah.
And a lot of times people are like, well, you got angels around you, you're using angels, it's got to work every time, right? No, it doesn't. I wish it did. But that's why we're doing the money back guarantee. I love doing that. I love I love the idea that, like, hey, why not give it a try? If you don't like what happens, you get your money back.
Yeah, nothing
That's
to
it.
lose at that point.
Yeah, exactly. And so we're going to be doing all kinds of them, with energy, just, so many people, chronic fatigue, some of these things, that they can't come up with enough names for some of this stuff, right? I mean, I had somebody in here a couple of weeks ago. The amount of diagnoses was crazy. Just like, okay, so let's start checking them off. And in 15 minutes, we're checking off things that are 100% gone.
Wow.
And a lot of this is like, there are reasons that we are in such a state of disarray. The health of people today is just, we're in disarray as humanity. I mean, it's we've got a lot of problems on our hands, and I don't like to talk about how bad it is. I like to talk about what we can do and how good we can make it. But it is out there, and there's just not a lot of answers. I just feel that I will draw those who are ready for this kind of healing, but just like you with the Reiki you're doing, we tend to draw those people, and of course then God comes along and says, you better look a little harder. Here's a little more difficult one. You haven't stayed up all night thinking about somebody in a few days, it's the failures that keep you up at night. And it's just like, well, why, how, why? And that curiosity is, I believe, key in doing the kinds of things that I do and that you do. It's like, why didn't it work? What the heck did, and if you've been doing this long enough, you start recognizing there's some other frequency or vibration or thing that wasn't brought into that interaction to get it to turn. And so with the programs, I have a full hour. That's what I'm really excited about, because I know people have questions, and usually my sessions are 5 to 15 minutes. Having a full hour with as many people that need that kind of attention is very exciting. And when we did this I did this, I don't even know now, gosh, probably 10 years ago. We had people from all over the planet. I mean, I still have a lot of them, but we were having 50 people, and the stuff that was disappearing even back then, this is before the angels were even around, was amazing. And that's intention. That's that loving intention and hope and desire that the right vibration will arise in the body to recreate that vibrancy that we come in with. When we are first created, we have a certain vibrancy, and of course, yes, a lot of that can get distorted as the baby grows within mom, and all that in utero experience and all of it, life experience. But there is that moment in time when we have this perfect vibrancy, and that's perfect health, and that's perfect well-being. And so one of the goals is to match that to a certain degree, and magic happens immediately. So that's I'm not sure how I got off the tangent there, but you asked the right question.
I think you bring up a good point, though, because what I've always understood or have believed too is that someone can come to you looking for healing, but as you said, if they're not open to it really, and they don't believe that it can happen, and they have a negative mindset around it, it does make it a lot harder. I think the whole being open is having the right frequency, because then, you have this belief that anything is possible and that change can occur. And I think that makes a huge difference. I mean, you talk about people who have a will to live, there are people like we've been dealing with my mom going through, she has cancer. And even when they've said things like it's curable, we can do this, she's still so very negative. And so we're seeing like it coming back and different things. And so I'm trying to really instill in her that a lot of it is mindset, and you have to have the right mindset when you go into this, or else you're just constantly attracting negative experiences. And I think that's
I,
a huge part of it.
absolutely, I couldn't agree more. The vibration of thought, your thought is what you're vibrating. That's what you're creating. And there's no way around that. Einstein said something like, it's what you think is what you become. I know I'm going to butcher this. Sorry about that, Einstein. But basically it's what you think is what you become. And that's the reality. That's physics. That's just what, it's not physics. That's the reality. That's what he said. It's not physics. That's the reality. Something along those lines. And, and many times I have had people come in when I was still seeing a lot of people, and it'd be a husband, wife, and the wife would be like, "Come on, I want to take you into this guy. I want you to work on me. Get in, don't need any of this." And, hey, absolutely. You just sit on over there while I work on your wife, And sometimes it's like, well, I got this bad shoulder thing, but I can't. Nobody can fix it. This is stupid. You're across the room. You're not even touching my wife, And the angels sometimes don't care, because even though it was gruff on the outside, he really wanted it and needed it on the inside. And so many times with that sort of thing, just one quick intent and direction, boom, have it disappear, and then all of a sudden you have him on board and coming in and getting help. It just opens them up. So when you have that's really exciting when when you can have that. And I hope and pray for that your mom, allows that to come in, and whether subconsciously or consciously starts to allow that vibration of positivity in, because it can change anything.
Yeah, I think she's finally starting to see it,
Awesome.
It's taken a
Awesome.
while, but she's finally starting to
Yeah.
realize that, the more you focus on the negative things, the more negative things there becomes to focus on. And I think that has been very apparent with what she's seeing, and I've tried to, me saying it, you know, our parents don't listen to us just as our children don't listen to us. They have to discover it for themselves. But I'm sure you've probably seen a lot of people who have been skeptics who, once they came to you, just completely changed their mind.
Completely. I've had a few experiences where it's just that just blows your mind. It's like long time ago, I would tell people, if somebody says, "Hey, my husband's got this problem and blah blah blah," or "My wife has this problem, can't you just fix it for him?" Because everybody knows I do this remote stuff, and so I'd go, "Okay, you better call them and get their permission, so we can help them." Well, the angels have kind of changed that now. It's kind of like, well, everybody needs a blessing every now and then. And do I need everyone's permission to ask the angels to help them? I don't know. I'm changing my mind on all of that. It's kind of like, well, your wife is suffering and she won't reach out to me, but maybe the angels can do something without needing to know, you know, and, and I've just seen absolute miracles with that. I have one gentleman, he's an attorney, high-powered attorney. When I say high-powered, highly stressed, just wrecked attorney who's, partner in a law firm in London. And his wife's very open. She's been working with me for a couple of years. And she was like, "Oh, no, he'll never get on the phone, but he is dying right now. His gastric reflux is so bad, he can't, and he's got a big meeting and blah, 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 blah." And I said, "Well, why don't we just send him send him a little group of angels to see if they can't help him." And completely disappeared, completely gone, 100%.
Wow.
Maybe took me 10 seconds, 15 seconds. And she called him and talked to him shortly thereafter. And he was like, I don't know what to say. So now I see him. The next time I worked on her, he pops on, "Hey, I'm so-and-so and blah, 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 blah. I was the one this gastric reflux is so bad I couldn't talk, and it's all gone, and I don't believe this, and I'm sorry I told her she could never work with you again. So I've seen a lot of that. I've had a lot of that happen over the, it happens all the time. Many times I'll be working on somebody and they'll be like, well, my cat is, looks like it's on its last leg. And, animals surely don't care if they get a blessing. So I've had so many of these experiences that, we can sit here and talk all day long about it. So many.
Yeah, that's awesome. So tell us a little bit more, because I know you said you have upcoming workshops. Tell us a little bit more about that in case anyone out there is listening might be interested in joining you.
Well, everything is at ahumanengineer.com. The workshops are going to be in March. I think it's the 10th, 11th, and 12th, and then another one towards the end of the month. We're just finding that they're filling up pretty fast, and the word's out now that's what's happening is just unbelievable. We've had this last one. I had a doctor there, 45 years of experience. He's probably attended 500-600 seminars, and he pulled me aside after the first day and just said, "This, I don't know what to say. I've never seen anything like this. I mean, this guy he studied everything under the sun." And so we've had that, a few other doctors there. I mean, everybody, the doctors are really the litmus test, because most people are not doctors, and they're just kind of like, they're kind of more fun because they just kind of like accept, oh, really, you mean I can just treat my grandma and she's in Trinidad? Yes, you can. And I try to make it fun and funny and lively. I think I have a natural talent at teaching people things, and I've kind of done that throughout my life in different places. I was in the Army. I taught, how to read a compass, be dropped out in the middle of nowhere and figure out where you're at, and how to break down a machine gun. And, I was always kind of picked to be the teacher. And in college, I was a TA for a lot of the classes where I was taking the class too. So I would not only have to study and figure out what the heck was going on, I would teach everybody else how to do that as well. And so I think I've just been really fortunate to have taken all these things and put them together into something really succinct and really understandable, to the point that anybody can do this. And the doctors are blown away, but the woman who is retired and has it's kind of like, wow, I'm twiddling my thumbs at home, and she's busy as can be. And there's just a number of it takes off really fast when you leave the training, because you fix somebody, the word travels. They tell, the brother tells the neighbor, and the neighbor tells somebody else, and pretty soon you're doing this stuff all around the globe. And so that's really exciting. And the training itself, this last actually the first, we didn't do this the last time. We're doing some other cool things this last one, but the very first one, we had everyone bring a name in of somebody who was suffering. And gosh, I think we had 15 people in the class, and 10 or 11 of them got back to me and said, wow, that person who we blasted, completely different. Bad sleeping through the night, and a woman with back pains, 100% gone. A lot of these things that just don't seem that's possible. And using the group to do some of the healing was a lot of fun. Directing people to, like, we did 5 tinnitus cases towards the end of the class, and having 4 of them 100% gone. That's, as a doctor, it's mind blowing. The tinnitus can be a real, I always tell people, well, I'm about 50-50, you consider it luck when you get to reduce it a little bit. It's just one of those things that's just pernicious and persistent and doesn't want to leave. Some of these varying emotional states that we are able to look at as well. I think, when you have lifelong depression clear, or lifelong anxiety clear up, and some of the other odd things that go on in the mind just kind of disappear or have the edge taken off, that changes these people. I mean, they just look like different people. And you can imagine the residual effects of that, who they go out and touch now. And that is, it's just a true joy to be able to do that. I'm looking forward to these classes getting full. I now have a lot of helpers who are able to help me and really be able to relay the information. And I think it's really exciting. We are shortening the program because we want more hands-on, so people leave with a lot more confidence. And yeah, that's pretty much all of it. So it's a human engineer. A is in Adam, humanengineer.com. Everything's on there, I think. I don't know. I've never seen it. um,
Well, we will have that link in the show notes too, so our listeners can go and click directly on to your link and get to your website. So
awesome. Thank you so much,
sounds
Melissa.
awesome. Yeah, thank you so much for all the work that you're doing, because I think that it's so important and you're helping so many people, and that's definitely nothing to slouch about, or it's really important work. And so I want to thank you personally for doing that and for helping others heal.
Thank you.
I always like to ask our guests for our day if they have any piece of advice or any words of wisdom that they could leave our audience with to take with them throughout the day.
Well, I think whatever you decide to do in life, do it the best that you can and have fun doing it. Having fun is part of being human, and fun is contagious to people around you. And so my words of wisdom are: I'm done when there is no fun. So
I
have
love
fun, everyone.
it. Yes, absolutely. There's nothing if you're not living life joyfully.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Well, thank you
Thanks so
so
much for
much.
having me.
Yes, thank you so much for being here with us today. This was a great conversation.
Thank you, Melissa. Have a great afternoon.
And I want to thank all of you for being here with us today as well. As always, if you like this podcast, please subscribe. Please leave a positive review from wherever you're listening. And the greatest compliment you can pay me is to share it with anyone you think might enjoy it. If you want to work with me, you can go to my website, melissaoatman.com. And you can follow me on social media. I go live Mondays at 6:30 Central on Facebook, where I do a free card reading. I hope that you guys have a beautiful day today from wherever you're listening. As always, I'm sending you so much love and light, and I will talk to you soon. Bye, guys.